Well, on to version 2. Now, first thing I should mention, kind of a little weird since it's not the most obvious, both version 1 and version 2, and I think version 3 have no opening menu, so it just starts, and this is the screen. No explanation. Second most obvious thing, if you're listening to me, music. Now, somewhere along the lines of version 1, I came across a YouTuber named Gwyn. I'll put the link down in the description, maybe put a doobly-doo. But they did all sorts of JoJo's fan music for a specific part that was set in America back in the 1800s. I really liked the sound, so I started commissioning her. This was the first piece that I ended up getting back. I slowed it down a little bit, but I really like how it encompasses like a starting town feel. You'll hear more of that music eventually, and hopefully a whole lot more of it. Aside from that, we got the graphics update. This is the new character. I made it a little weird, a little standout-ish, where the player might question what the heck this little pink lion is. That's to be revealed, by the way. You don't know. You'll find out eventually, maybe in a character card or something. But I have a rough design about what this player will look like in a battling scenario, like little trainer sprites that pop up at the beginning of a Pokemon battle. Aside from those obvious things, and fixing the terrible diagonals, turns out I'm doing vertical superiority other than horizontal. But that's past me to worry about. I have these that will show you where you will fight creatures. I did it specifically on the top and bottom of the town because I knew I would expand there eventually. But exactly on this border will be when you can start encountering things. Now, it looks terrible. It honestly really does. There's no beautiful background yet. The creatures are spawning still, and we got the new displays for health and whatnot, but they're a little inconsistent at the moment. That's fixed pretty easily, and I end up doing that. I don't want to click any of these right now because I think it'll break the game. We'll get back to battling later. Aside from that, you can run away from battles, and if I didn't go crazy, you just you can run away and it'll keep your position. Now you can run into things to interact with them. Finally got that done. And like I said last time, it's just a dumb phrase about clearing the debris to get more of the mine accessible. I honestly don't know why I stopped all this mine to begin with. I guess players couldn't make it anyway, so it didn't matter. But it's still a little weird. Little bugs like that kind of irk me. I'm getting into a problem now where I'm gonna have to start thinking about how things are loaded in so your computer doesn't explode, and especially mine when I'm making the game. Aside from that, yeah, they're still spawning, but there's also some items in here. A rope in particular, and a ball. Oh, it's a baseball! Again, I was pretty heavily influenced by JoJo to do this Western theme, and it was like the push over the edge. I live in a Western area, but also when one of my favorite anime tries to do it, and I find out, I get really excited, and I want to take the bizarreness and try and make it into a serious game, much like JoJo itself ends up being somehow. Enough of that. Obviously, the transitioning between the mine and the Aho itself has been fixed. Yeah, all the spawn points are manual. They aren't set on where an entrance or exit is located. So if I move something and I don't move the spawn point, glitches like what happened in the 0.1 version can happen pretty easily. during the change in sprites, I didn't get to all of the townsfolk, so this is a weird dichotomy. You can really see the difference here, and I do kind of like this design more. This is more reminiscent of Pokemon as a whole. The only weird part is the perspective. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with these thighs. I really don't. It's pixels, so I don't know. It's probably forgiven. Much of the town has remained the same. Let's see if this pause menu changed at all. So it changed a little bit. I honestly have no explanation for this. Okay, so my guess is last time nothing was actually spawning. And Myriad, this would be supported by this strange scene loading that I had last time. I probably physically entered all of those numbers in accordance to a spreadsheet I have in Google Docs for Myriad, knowing that the player would not ever access another creature. So when it would never spawn, so whenever the scene reloaded, there wouldn't be a new version of Myriad with different stats. This time, there are different stats. I can definitely see the difference here. But it's probably very messed up, which is why the combat still isn't a thing. I could probably do some real basic struggle combat. Oh god. Struggle combat, even if it's just regular stats, because it's just the one move and every Apacies can use that move anyway. But then stuff like this is happening. This right here. And, yeah, it's probably just me not realizing what I'm doing with multiple Apacies and the health bars behind the display. But yeah, since that's pretty much everything here, no other real updates, I gotta see, does this lead to absolute nothing? Yep. Okay. So my genius idea. Yes, I made creatures spawn, but for whatever reason, I didn't loop the buttons or just outright disable them so that players can go back and actually play without restarting the game. So both the fight and the Apacies buttons will lead you to a dead screen. This is a point where I'm happy that no one really played the game, because that would be absolutely game breaking. Especially with no save system or anything. Yikes. People would be mad if any large amount of audience would have played my game. So, that is Apacies Loveletter, version 2. I will see you again in version 3, and hopefully versions in the future, along with updates. Have a good night.